The biggest animals to ever walk the Earth? Yeah, you're probably thinking about long-necked sauropods like Argentinosaurus or Patagotitan, and you'd be right. But what if I told you the largest dinosaur that wasn't a sauropod was something else entirely? Meet Shantungosaurus, a creature so massive it could rival the very titans of the dinosaur world. Discovered in the 1970s in what's now eastern China, paleontologists unearthed 5 scattered skeletons. Even though the fossils were incomplete, they could tell one thing immediately. This was no ordinary hadrosaur. With a body stretching over 14 meters, that's 48 feet, and weighing around 13 tons, it dwarfed most other herbivores of its time. And that wasn't even the largest specimen. Some individuals may have reached up to 17 meters long and weighed 18 to 22 tons. To put that in perspective, that's heavier than a T-Rex, heavier than a Spinosaurus, and nearly 3 times the size of a Stegosaurus. It was the largest known non-sauropod dinosaur, and possibly the largest bipedal animal to ever walk the planet. So why did Shantungosaurus get so big? Well, researchers think its size was both a defense mechanism and a competitive advantage. It could reach higher vegetation and was too large for most predators to even consider hunting. It lived alongside large carnivores like Zhucheng tyrannus, essentially the region's version of T-Rex. But even then, this predator maxed out at about 5 tons. Going after a full-grown Shantungosaurus, that'd be like a wolf picking a fight with a bus. Beyond size, it had other defenses. Its hind legs alone were longer than most predators. One kick could generate more impact force than 1,000 pro boxers combined. And its tail? Longer than 2 cars, reinforced with stiff, bony tendons, possibly used like a massive club. And don't forget, they traveled in herds. So even if you were a predator brave enough to try, you'd be outnumbered. Despite its power, Shantungosaurus was a plant eater through and through. Its mouth was a nightmare for any dentist. Packed with over 1,500 tiny teeth, these were arranged in columns, constantly replacing themselves, and were designed to shred through tough, fibrous plants. Add in a massive beak for slicing leaves, and you had one very efficient herbivore. In its environment, warm, humid floodplains filled with ferns, conifers, and cycads, Shantungosaurus likely played a massive ecological role. A single herd of 50 could reshape entire landscapes, much like elephants do today, only bigger. Its presence alone suggests it was a keystone species, influencing everything around it just by existing. You might be wondering, if this dinosaur was so big, why isn't it more well known? The story starts back in the 1970s in Shandong Province, China. A group of paleontologists digging near a quarry stumbled upon something massive. Fragments of gigantic bones, bigger than anything they'd ever seen. As they kept digging, they uncovered a bone bed, a literal graveyard filled with fossilized remains. Not just one skeleton, but thousands of bones. From leg bones the size of humans to jaws lined with teeth like rows of corn, the team realized they had found a new species entirely. That site, called Zhucheng, would become one of the most fossil-rich locations in the world. And among the bones, they pieced together the star of the show, Shantungosaurus giganteus, named after the very province where it was found. But what's really wild is just how many of them were there. Over 5,000 fossils have been pulled from that site, mostly belonging to Shantungosaurus. That suggests these animals likely moved in massive herds and possibly died together in a catastrophic flood or mudslide. It's like finding the remains of an entire neighborhood of dinosaurs, all in one place. The fact that so many fossils were found in one area gave scientists something rare, a chance to reconstruct the full skeleton with a high degree of accuracy. That's how we know it had an incredibly long tail, robust hind limbs, and an oddly lightweight skull compared to its size. That skull, by the way, over 1.5 meters long. That's taller than most people. And here's the twist. Even after decades of study, we still haven't uncovered everything. Some paleontologists think that larger individuals may be hiding in other rock layers we haven't even explored yet. It's entirely possible that the biggest Shantungosaurus ever found is still buried underground. This all makes you wonder, if the largest non-sauropod ever walked the Earth and barely made headlines, what else is still out there?
Interestingly, even with its massive size, it had a pretty limited range. Unlike other hadrosaurs that spread far and wide, Shantungosaurus seemed tied to a specific region. Why? Possibly because not many places could support such an enormous creature in such large herds. Still, it thrived in that region for over 10 million years. Eventually, though, it disappeared. Why? Well, no one's certain. One theory is that its size finally became a disadvantage. It needed too much food. Another idea? Volcanic activity disrupted its habitat. Or maybe, it simply evolved into a different hadrosaur over time. Hadrosaurs survived until the very end of the Cretaceous, but none ever reached this size again. So while it didn't have sharp teeth or terrifying claws, Shantungosaurus was, in many ways, one of the most unstoppable dinosaurs of its time. A walking fortress with the weight of 260 humans, and the attitude of a tank. Massive, mysterious, and still flying under the radar of most dinosaur fans. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.